In 1880, the average American cowboy made about $300 a year. Today, the average American household makes around $75,000. We are pulling in 250 times what they made, and almost none of us own land. Almost none of us own the tools we use to make a living. Almost none of us have real wealth. We have monthly payments and a 401k we don't really understand. Something about that is completely backward. And once you look at what cowboys actually did with money, not the movie version, the real version, you start to see what we lost. This isn't going to be a romantic story about the Old West. Most cowboys were broke. Most of them stayed broke. The ones who didn't followed a very small handful of rules. And those rules built more wealth in a single generation than most Americans now build in 3. The ones who got it right retired with land worth millions in today's dollars, on $300 a year. No bonuses, no stock options. No retirement accounts, just a horse, a saddle, and a habit of mind almost nobody teaches anymore. So let's walk through what they knew. The first rule was the saddle. A working cowboy spent the equivalent of 2 months of wages on a saddle, $50 in 1880, about $1,500 in today's money. A new cowboy who showed up to a ranch with a cheap saddle was almost not hired. A bad saddle wrecked your back and broke down horses. A good one lasted 30 years. This wasn't vanity. The saddle was the tool that paid his wages. Without it, he was unhirable. Compare that to what we do. The modern American spends 3 months of after-tax pay on a car that's nearly worthless in 8 years, then 5 more years of car payments on the next one. The cowboy bought a tool. We buy a thing that costs money to own. Buy tools, not toys. That was rule 1, and we forgot. The second rule was even simpler. Skills you can take with you are wealth nobody can take from you. A good cowboy could ride into any town in the West and have work by the end of the day. He could rope, brand, break a horse, shoe one. Portable, durable, monetizable skills. A bad year on one ranch meant a job on another by Friday. We've replaced that with a piece of paper from a university that costs $80,000, expires within a decade, and needs constant retraining. The cowboy version of a degree was a reputation. You earned it once. It paid for the rest of your life. Now here's where it really gets interesting. The third rule is the one nobody talks about. They saved in real assets, not in dollars. Cowboys who built wealth almost never piled up cash. They piled up cattle. The smart ones started with what was called a maverick, an unbranded calf wandering on open range. If you put your iron on it, it was yours. A cowboy with a sharp eye could build a herd of 50 head over a few seasons without spending a single dollar. 50 head in 1885 was worth about $1,000, several months of wages. But cattle have one feature dollars don't. They multiply. A herd grows 15 to 20% a year if you manage it right. Compound that for 10 years, and your 50 head is closer to 200. 20 years, it's a real ranch. That's how Charles Goodnight, born poor, ended up with one of the largest ranches in Texas. He didn't save dollars, he saved animals that bred more animals. Apply that now. The number of Americans who actually own assets that compound on their own is shockingly small. Most of us own things that lose value. A car, a laptop, clothes, a phone. The cowboys saved in things that quietly worked while they slept. Cattle in 1880, index funds and rental property in 2026. The math is exactly the same. Now the rule that really hurts. Cowboys had almost no fixed costs. None. On the trail, the ranch gave you housing. The chuck wagon gave you food. The horse was paid for, no rent. No utility bill, no subscription, no phone, no streaming. A cowboy could ride for 6 months and not spend a single dollar of his wage. That money sat in his pocket, untouched, for the whole season. Most of them blew it in Dodge City or Abilene, on whiskey, cards, and women in 3 days. That part is true. But the ones who kept the wad in their boot heel ended up with their own outfit, their own land, their own herd. Look at your own fixed costs: rent, car payment, insurance, cell phone, internet, streaming, gym. subscriptions you've forgotten you have. Before you earn a single free dollar this month, you're already $2,000 in the hole. The cowboy started every month at zero. That's not a small thing. That's the whole game. Now the fourth rule, take the cheap opportunity when nobody else wants it. In 1862, the US government passed a law called the Homestead Act. If you were willing to live on a piece of land for 5 years and improve it, you got 160 acres of it, free. 160 acres, free. Most people, even back then, thought it was too hard. The land was unbroken, the winters were brutal. The nearest town was 100 miles away. Most stayed in the city and took factory jobs. Around 1.6 million Americans took the deal anyway. 270 million acres ended up in the hands of regular working people because they were willing to do hard, unglamorous work for 5 years. That same land today is worth, depending on where it is, anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000 an acre. Some of the families who homesteaded then are still on that land, 4 and 5 generations later, sitting on tens of millions in built-up value. The modern version exists, it just looks different. It's the brand new neighborhood nobody wants to live in, the skill nobody wants to learn, the investment everyone calls boring, the 401k contribution you've been putting off because it feels too small to matter. Cheap, unwanted, unsexy opportunity is the only kind that pays generationally. The Cowboys knew this. We forgot. Here's the fifth one, and it's the one that ties them all together. A cowboy carried no debt. There was no credit card. There was no installment loan on the horse. There was no buy now, pay later on the rifle. If you couldn't afford it, you saved up for it. If you couldn't save up for it, you didn't get it. That was the entire system. A cowboy who owed money lost the respect of every man in the bunkhouse. The modern American carries around $6,000 in credit card debt and another $7,000 or $8,000 in other unsecured loans. The reason this matters isn't moral, it's mathematical. Debt is somebody else owning a piece of your future labor. Cowboys knew their wages were the most valuable thing they had and refused to pre-spend them. We do the opposite. We spend wages we haven't earned yet on things we don't need, and we call it normal. So add it up. Buy tools, not toys. Build portable skills. Save in things that compound. Keep your fixed costs near zero. Take the cheap opportunity. Carry no debt. That's 6 rules. Most cowboys didn't follow all 6, but the ones who followed even 3 or 4 ended up with land, a herd, and a name people remembered. On $300 a year. Apply even half of that thinking to a modern household making $75,000 a year, and you're looking at $1 million in net worth before you turn 50. Not because anything changed in your paycheck, because something changed in how you handle it. You wonder why your grandparents could buy a house on 1 income and you can't on 2? This is most of the answer. Their generation still half remembered how the Cowboys did it. Yours doesn't. The good news is it's not gone. Saddles cost more now. Land costs more now. But the math, buy the right tools, save in real things, keep your costs low, take the opportunity nobody else wants, never borrow against your future, is exactly the same as it was in 1880. Pick up the pile and ride out of town with it intact. That's still the whole job.